Fasten your seatbelt. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Chrissie is hilarious.
Chrissie, have you ever heard of the comedian Basha K. Ali?
No, that sounds like something you yell at before you blow up a plane.
30 seconds remaining.
But you know what, good thing to say I doubt it will stand up to something. I haven't been disrespectful to you at all.
I was very confused by the title, Everything Everywhere All at Once, because that's also what we call it when Ash takes off his shirt. I shouldn't be up here. I should be in school on the other side of the ocean. Oh, welcome to another episode of the Chrissie Mayr podcast. You can listen to us on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, Rumble, Rockfin, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, even sometimes. Although occasionally they will block me on Facebook for something dumb. They'll just be like, "Oh, we've blocked this on in a few countries because you've offended someone." Whatever. F Facebook. Fiddlesticks to them. Before I bring on our very fabulous guest, and by the way, like and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed to this program on YouTube, are you trying to keep me from my dreams of reaching 100K? I think you are, because I'm creeping a little bit past 97. I'm going to get there. I'm going to put the plaque right there or somewhere visible. Please and thank you. Now, before I bring in my fabulous guest, who I feel like we have so much in common. I'm so excited to talk to her. Oh, but a brief word for our sponsor. Hold, please. It's the Great U.S. Treasure Hunt. The
Great U.S. Treasure Hunt. We've delivered winners from all over the U.S., awarding thousands in prize money. We've hidden 10 coins in public. And for the first time, we give the clues to their exact location in a comic book format. 10 states, 10 coins, 10 clues, $10,000. One comic book. The Great U.S. Treasure Hunt. The hunt begins October 15th. Order now. thegreatustreasurehunt.com.
Ooh, what's that all mean, you ask? I'm going to tell you. The Great U.S. Treasure Hunt returns in 2024 with $10,000 in prizes up for grabs. They've hidden 10 coins in 10 states, and the clues to their exact location is in a comic book, much like this one here. But don't worry, I won't give away any answers. They've sent me a dummy because they know that I would give away the answers. Anyway, this comic book mails out October 22nd. So you have time. You have time to order it and get in on this. Order now and use promo code CMP to save $5 off any package. Go to thegreatustreasurehunt.com for full details. You can team up with hunters from across the country to split the prize money, $500 for the solver, $500 for the finder of the coin. These coins are distributed all over the country. There's 5 in states west of and east of the Mississippi, 5 different time zones. Either Hawaii or Alaska is guaranteed to have a coin. At least 2 states that border the Pacific, at least 2 states that border the Atlantic Ocean, at least 2 Gulf Coast states, at least 2 Great Lakes states, at least 2 state capitals, and only 2 states that border each other. Coins are hidden, not buried, so you won't need a shovel or metal detector. Clues are in this comic book. 10 puzzles on 2-page spreads. You can use the text, the illustration, or possibly both together to solve for an exact location in the U.S. Like, what does that even mean? I don't even know. It's like probably too smart for me. The Great U.S. Treasure Hunt has given away over 40 grand in the past, but this year they will be giving away at least 10,000 more. Coins are similar to challenge coins. They each have a unique serial number on them. Wow, they look like this. Pretty snazzy. All books will be mailed via first-class mail on October 22nd. There's no guarantee what day it will arrive to you. That depends on your local post office. No clues will be released on the website or YouTube or any other social media for at least 2 months. So solve the puzzles in the book, partner with someone to find the coin and enjoy your victory. Go to thegreatustreasurehunt.com and don't be in my DMs asking me for clues, okay? Because you're not going to get any. Plus, I don't have them. So there. Anyway, I asked her what she wanted me to introduce you to her as, but she was like, I don't really feel like a comedian. And I was like, girl, same, which means you are. She's more of a triple threat. She's like an artist. She's a musician. She does comedy, or maybe comedy does her. We will find out. Welcome to the show, Biddy O'Loughlin. I'm going to put you over here so it looks like I'm looking at you.
Oh, that's good. Nice.
Hi, Biddy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fantastic. I was so excited to learn that you are a fellow mom, and I watched an interview where you were just holding your baby the whole time, and I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, we really can have it all, and you're like repositioning her, and like I felt that so deeply. I was like, because sometimes you just can't get anybody to watch them, and you have to just bring them to an interview.
Yeah, I used to do comedy with her on my chest until she started getting bigger laughs than me. I was like, right, you're staying at home.
Yeah, you're like, I can't have you upstaging me here. That's so cute.
Yeah, that's pretty cute. And then she started like making noises, and one time she reached for the mic, and I was like, that's it. All right, no more.
You were like, no, you're like, look, I'm gonna raise you better than to do stand-up. Okay, you're gonna have high self-worth. You are not going to have issues with men.
Yep.
You are not gonna be attention starved.
That's right. Yeah. My mom is a comedian, so you know.
Yes, I was gonna get into that. So this is really neat. You're like the only comedian I know who's, aside from, no, she doesn't even really count. I was gonna say, no, you are the first one, because she's kind of like the other girl I'm thinking of she's more of a groupie. She's not really a comedian. But you're the first person. Kate, God, what the hell's her last name? Her dad was very. I'm blanking. Someone in the chat's gonna know. Kate Meehan, is her name Meehan? Oh my God, I'm like actually blanking on her name. Someone will tell me, and because her dad was like a pretty famous Meanie. Thank God, Kate Meanie. Thank you, Filthy. Thank you, Hans Weenus. Yeah. So anyway, okay.
Yeah,
yes. Kevin was dad, very famous. Died in 2016, but did all the things. But was a very famous comedian. But she didn't really do comedy. She just kind of hung around and fell off the wagon. She's fine. She'll be fine. She's probably not fine, but you're here, Biddy. Tell me, like, have a mom also doing stand-up.
So my mum sort of got big when she was always performing, as in hosting talent shows in our small town and stuff. And one time there was an arts minister, like a government, public servant in the audience. And he was like, do you know what you're doing is stand-up? And she didn't really know what that was, but he gave her a grant and she caught a bus down to Melbourne from our small hometown. Anyway, she became quite famous when I was about 12, 13. And I remember I just despised comedians. I thought they were the worst people on the planet. And then I became one.
Why did you despise them?
Well, they were always drunk and loud and really self-centered, and I was a kid, so I just found them to be quite obnoxious and annoying, and they were. But not all of them, there are good ones.
The idea of a stand-up comedian, really, I didn't, even to this day, like, I remember because I was an intern at this show called Late Night with Conan O'Brien, and I met this girl, Liz Mealy, who I was a senior in college, and so was she, and she had already been doing stand-up for a couple of years, and in my mind, like, the idea of a comedian just seemed so wild, and so I'm like, wow, you're like really putting yourself out there. It seems like really dangerous to me, and I separate that because I know that, okay, now I'm a comedian, but I don't just my first idea of how scary it was never really went away, even though I do that. It's really strange. I can't really even like the idea of it is still scary to me.
Oh, same. I still get
Yeah.
really scared. And I still go, this will be my last gig.
Really?
Yeah, sometimes. Like the show I'm working on at the moment, I'm like, I'll retire after this one. Not Hannah Gadsby style, like I'll actually retire.
Well, you'll be different than Hannah Gadsby because you're actually funny and not a lesbian, I don't think, and not fat.
I
Yeah.
actually applied for her Edinburgh show many, many years ago. It was called the Cliff Young Shuffle. And I think she used to be a lot like, well, actually funny. But wokeness, I think, destroys you and drags your IQ down to hell.
It does. It just stops any curiosity of thought. Really, it's creatively very stifling.
Yeah, and it's because it's like a religion, they're being zealots on stage, you know. They're not sort
Right,
of
which isn't funny. Like telling people what to do, and it's like no, we're here as to be like observers of humanity, whatever that piece of humanity that your point of view is from. Like, and that's the thing is like you could be a woke comic and be funny. It is possible, but I mean, I haven't
yeah,
seen many examples.
yeah.
But you just have to have an open mind and like be able to make fun of yourself, which like the woke comedians, I think they have a hard time making fun of themselves because they lack a little bit of perspective and self-awareness.
Yeah, definitely. And they play victim more than, you know.
Which isn't funny. Like it's like, okay, go be a victim then. Because a comedian is supposed to like not really give two shits and
Yeah, and
you get
it's funnier to be self-deprecating than a victim. And I remember Hannah Gadsby's old shows, they were really self-deprecating. And that's what she talks about in the net, is that she doesn't want to do that anymore because it's hurting her. And I was like, yeah, but it was funny.
wow. So you're 12 years old and your mom blows up. What was it a particular appearance that helped her get famous, or was it kind of just everything together?
It was, you know, so it was pre-internet, pre-social media. So it was really the national television panel shows that made her really famous. And then the comedy festivals we have here, they have like a gala which goes on the TV, which is, what do you call it, like not cable, just normal television. So it was the television shows that made her really famous because it was pre-social media. And that was all from, you know, word of mouth and people putting her on those shows because she was so funny on stage.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so neat. So it was like this social media era, all kind of legacy TV spots, which is
Yeah.
I don't know, it's kind of was a romantic time for comedians. It's like you really could blow up and get so famous and like did she need a day job at that point or was she's able to like make her whole career off it?
Yeah, she was able to make her whole career off it and then got lots of, you know, corporate gigs and stuff which pay so much money. But we were living in an outback town, so she had to leave a lot. And that was hard. And I was the oldest girl. I have an older brother, but I was the oldest girl, so might as well have been the oldest. And I started cooking and cleaning and all of that stuff. I became the mum.
At 12?
Basically, 12, 13.
Oh, damn. So how many kids were in the family?
5. So I had 4 siblings and a dad. And he didn't cook at that stage. So I was cooking for my dad.
Was he working too? Would he be around more when she was out?
He was working a lot, and he was a dental technician, makes false teeth. He still is. So we had nannies sometimes, and one of our nannies, they were mostly just family friends who would come and stay with us while mum was away. And the first one we had, she didn't know how to cook. So she was like, Biddy, can you do this? And it was like a chicken tonight, and that was the first meal I cooked was a chicken tonight, and then went from there.
Oh, wow. I still kind of don't really know how to cook, so good for you. I can just imagine your nanny like just floats down on an umbrella. She's like, "Hello, I don't know how to cook." Oops. What was that like? Did you feel kind of like abandoned? Was that part of why you kind of didn't like stand-up comedians as much?
No, I don't think I felt abandoned for sure, but I didn't. That's not why I didn't like stand-up comedians. It was because they were assholes. But I was actually really proud of Mum, and she would sometimes get all guilty and be like, you should have a mum who's at home all the time. And I was like, you're doing
Oh,
this amazing thing, and it's like giving me the inspiration to do whatever I want.
yeah.
But
I
it was
think like
hard when she came back from a big trip because she would be depressed because she was on a high
really.
from all of the gigs and all of the attention and all of the dopamine hits, and then she would come back to being, this housewife in a country town, and I think that was really hard for her, and it was hard for us because she'd be depressed for a couple of days, I reckon, when she got back.
Because like she'd come into the room and you guys wouldn't be like laughing and like applause and like, oh, like lining up to buy merch from her. You're like,
Yeah, yeah.
like, we're just
So
your kids.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
wow. I really I understand that. It's like you feel as good as you can while you're on stage, and then when you're I mean, there's so many emotions. There's like the stress, like leading up to a gig, but everyone's different. There's some comedians who like never get stressed out at all, never sweat the process of producing a show, making sure enough people are there, um, like figuring out what cities you'll do best in to book. So, and some people, did she get representation at that time when she blew up?
yeah, yeah. She got a manager and everything pretty quickly.
Yeah. Okay. So they probably helped with booking her and
Yeah,
promoting and all that. That's good.
yeah.
Oh my God. But then
She
you
never
guys were
had
like
to do it
home
like
alone.
yeah. She never had to do it like most comedians have to. She went from like 0 to 10, and
Oh wow.
yeah.
How many years in was she before she really started to get successful?
Well, I think, yeah, she sort of, maybe that's not true. I shouldn't write her biography. She was doing it a little bit as we were kids, and then I think she had a few daytime TV show appearances, and then maybe stopped a bit. And one night, this is the story I know anyway, she's told me this version, is that she was watching that one of the legacy galas for the comedy festival on TV, and she cried and she said, "I'm gonna get on it," and she started
Ooh.
writing a show like that day or that night, and then she did it, and it was called Fiona, Her Sister, and Some Guy, and they took it to the Melbourne Comedy Festival, and it just blew up. She won the newcomer award and was just the talk of the town. And then she got to Edinburgh Fringe
Oh
Festival,
wow.
and
Yeah.
and then was just suddenly a household name in Australia. So
That's really cool because like my mom worked full time too, but like she was like a secretary and like she just didn't have a cool job. So it's like if your mom's gonna be away a lot, she might as well be doing something kind of inspiring than like,
yeah,
I'm filing di- what did my mom do? I don't even know. She's like she was like an assistant really in this music department. And it was exciting because it was like she worked in the middle school. So I could go if I like needed a tampon or a hug or something, I could just like go into her office in the middle of the day.
oh,
And
that's
then
nice.
and then her boss like had a TV in his office and their offices were connected obviously. And then during the summer when he'd be traveling, like I would be there for summer school or like teaching whatever gymnastics classes and I would like sneak into his office and watch MTV and I thought that was like such a luxury. I was like, "Woo, this is how the rich live." I was just in there like I think eating popcorn, watching MTV. Good times. Good times
Did
for
you
me.
have siblings, or were you only child?
Youngest of 3, but
Okay.
I got into stand-up because I didn't feel like I could express my true feelings,
Mm,
the mostly to my parents, but, like, in a larger sense to my family because I was always worried, like, if I'm honest, I'm gonna hurt somebody's feelings. So, yeah, I just sort of and it's weird, but then your motivation, like, as you're in it, like, 10 plus years and you change and grow as a person, like, your motivation for staying in stand-up kind of
changes.
ebbs and flows
Absolutely.
or it
Um,
changes.
I started doing it. You probably heard this story in the podcast that you watched where I had the baby all over me. But I sort of started doing it because I wanted to act, and I went on exchange to Ireland, uh, to a university over there, and they had cast all their plays because I went halfway through their academic year, and I was sort of, you know, friends with the Irish comedians who had been out to Melbourne Comedy Festival, this guy called Des Bishop and his brother Aidan, and they ran this comedy club. And I went there just because comedy was sort of a second home for me. And I'd always been curious and I'd always wanted to try it. Well, not always, but by this stage I did. And anyway, when they had cast all the plays at this university and I couldn't even audition, I just had this need to perform, and stand-up was the only way I could get up and tell stories. And I got hooked pretty quickly.
So, right, you didn't, I don't know, I feel like you're.
And that was going to be the first and last gig. And then it was, I just thought I'll just do this, cross this off the bucket list, and then I'm done. But it was good. And then a year and a half later, I was getting paid in Ireland.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. And now I'm back to not being paid. But anyway.
You've come full circle. You've completed everything. So you wouldn't say, you just feel like you had the bug, like the showbiz bug. It's not like you had any, issues or anything like that.
Oh, I had a lot of issues. Yeah. And stand-up actually became quite cathartic. But yeah, and then I stopped doing it for ages because I came back to Australia after a year and a half in Ireland. And I remember I didn't want to make my mum jealous. So I stopped doing comedy, and because I was good at it and I wanted to not hurt her, if that makes sense, because our relationship was a bit role reversal, parent-child thing. And so I just went back to acting and trying to get into that. And I ended up doing a film degree, which was kind of handy.
When you say you didn't want to make your mom feel jealous, like, was there any inkling, like, had she felt a certain way at any time while you were doing stand-up that made you feel like, oh, I don't want to really compete with her?
Yeah. There were times when she was like, but you're an actor, you're a filmmaker. Like, she kind of didn't encourage the stand-up, and I sort of read between the lines and went, oh,
wow. That's crazy, because my mom didn't encourage my stand-up, for just not because she was also a performer, but because she'd be like, ugh, Chrissie, you're wasting the best dating years of your life, like, around these people, and she'd be like, ugh, look at them. These men are not worthy of your time. And really most of them weren't. I just got lucky and happened to meet my husband, who was a comedy producer.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I felt not, thank God. I would advise people really try to not date another comedian unless you fall head over heels, like my friend Keanu, who just married another comedian, God, yesterday. So, but everybody else, it's a bad idea. That's really interesting, though, that you kind of scaled back because you're worried about your mom. And that's the thing is, I don't know. Nobody can be another Fiona, just like there's no other Biddy. And like, and she had been in it so many more years than you. So that's strange that she would feel that way.
Yeah, but broken, insecure, like a lot of us are.
Yeah.
And maybe that was my brokenness and insecurity too. Like, I didn't feel like she could love me even if I was as good as her or better.
Wow.
So I had to put myself.
But really, it's like you're following in her footsteps. She inspired you to do the same line of work. It should be a positive thing.
Yeah.
So what made you want to come back to it?
Well, I talk about it in my show. I got back into comedy in 2020 around March, because comedy is all about timing.
Oh boy, March of 2020.
So I stopped, but I didn't really ever stop. If someone said, you want to do a gig, I would do it, but I just didn't pursue it for about 9 years. So maybe I did one gig once a year or once every 2 years or something like that. And then this 2020 March, it was the Adelaide Fringe, and my friend was running by the way, I was always flyering for comedians, and it was always really painful for me. I remember flyering for them, which is when you give out the leaflets. I don't know what you guys call it, spruiking?
Yeah, it's like flyering or barking or, yeah.
Yeah. So I did that a lot in my childhood for comedians around mum, and then in my adulthood I did it as well because it was good money at the Fringe. And I remember just feeling so conflicted because I'd be flying for people and I'm like, I know I'm better than this comedian. I can do this, but I just didn't let myself do it for some reason. And then in 2020, my friend had a little tiny caravan theater, and it was called the Runaway Theater. And he's a midget. Well, he's not a midget. He's a little person, but he's not a little
But you're
person.
friends. You can probably call him a midget, and he's okay with it.
Well, he jokes about it. Yeah, he's actually got a rare condition that only he and his sister have, and it's named after his sister. Like, they're perfectly in proportion, so they don't have a bigger head. They're just
Oh,
tiny.
wow. So
Yeah.
they're not like dwarfs. They are more like midgets then, because dwarfs have bigger heads.
Yeah. Only 2 of them in the world, apparently. It's called Remus disease, and that's his sister's name.
How do you spell it?
Oh, let me REMA or RIMA.
Remus disease. How rare? Rare. It's so rare. It's not even coming up unless I'm spelling it wrong.
I think I might be spelling it wrong.
They can't just
Remus?
call you like they can just be like, you're a fancy midget. You're a type of midget.
RIMA. Iman Hadchidi, that's my friend, he's a comedian. He's an Australian comedian and actor of Lebanese descent. Born in Mylor, South Australia, Hadchidi and Mr. Reem Hadchidi are the only 2 known cases of Remus syndrome, a genetic condition causing small stature yet retaining normal proportions.
Wow.
So yeah, he's a very funny guy, and he had this little tiny theater, and we took it in turns to do 10, 20-minute shows, and I got so nervous. And anyway, after that month, and then the world shut down, but right up until lockdown, I was just getting better and better, and I was like, I'm going to do comedy. I'm going to do it. And then the world shut down. But I remember getting so nervous sometimes that he would go, well, why are you doing this? And I don't know, I just got through the nerves, and I still feel that nervous sometimes, and I still wonder why I'm doing it. But when you get over that, it's just so freeing to be good up there. You know?
Yeah, me too. I don't think nerves is an indication that you're not into something. I think it just whatever gets your heart pumping. I think everybody needs to do the thing that makes you feel the most alive. And if that for you is like the kind of pre-show anxiety, it's like because it matters, it's important to you. The stakes are high.
Apparently, one of those big, what's his name? Henry Fonda, the actor, he used to vomit before every performance of one play that he was in there on stage, like full on vomit. It's like, well, then, does that mean he shouldn't have been an actor? No.
You just got to keep a trash bag nearby. My friend Lila, who actually has spina bifida, which is another kind of, she's not a midget. She's like midget adjacent. It's different. It's like her spine was fused when she was really little, and she's best. She's one of the absolute best people ever. And she threw up before a show we did together, but that was because could have been nerves, and also she chugged a Red Bull.
Mm-hmm.
But she did great. I think the throwing up helped her. Okay, so let's see. Do we have I'm gonna make sure I'm kind of going in the right order. So you get kind of back into it, and then is Kill Tony kind of like your first?
Yeah, so I got back into it, and then lockdown, the world shut down, and I went back home to my dad's house in the countryside, and then I that year got pregnant because I didn't social distance.
Oh, but
And
she's so cute.
I know, and masks weren't the only thing I didn't make people wear. So I had a baby, and that sort of took me out a bit as well. And now it's just been, and then I turfed out loud, on Facebook when my baby was 5 weeks old, because I was just so over it, and I was swimming in all these postnatal hormones. I'd had a girl, and I was like, women have babies and men don't. And then my whole world fell apart. Like, all the comedians with the blue tick who I'd known since I was 12 unfollowed me. And I heard someone call it soft cancellation the other day, and I was like, oh, that term is perfect, because you're just blacklisted, but it's not official. And it's so much worse than what's happened to me the other day, which was getting properly officially cancelled, because now I've got, a spotlight on me a little bit, and it's been helpful. But when you're when you're soft cancelled, and that's the case of
Yes.
so many people. They just, disappear into obscurity. It destroys your confidence. You don't know, like, I was PTSD. I didn't know who was my friend and who wasn't. People smiling at me on the street, but then never inviting me to a gig again or never giving me a gig again. So that's certainly
Wow. We went through like the exact same shit, Biddy.
right.
Over a period of like, it was a few waves of it, but yeah, kind of soft canceled, meaning like the whole sort of community or people you worked with turn their backs on you or disapprove of, like, I don't know. I was an out Trump voter. I went to January 6th to do interviews. I like just, became a right winger, and all that together kind of
And then
doesn't
once you
really jive with like the New York City comedy scene. You kind of have to be a liberal. You have to, if you want to kind of get mainstream success. That used to be the way. It's a little bit different now. I mean, and obviously at the end of the day, if you're a mega talent like Shane Gillis or Tim Dillon, like it doesn't matter what your politics are. Like you're gonna bust through.
yeah,
So
yeah. I can't remember what I was going to say. Anyway.
soft canceling,
Soft canceling.
hard canceling,
Yeah,
being an out Trump voter.
you don't know, like you don't get a letter saying you're out. You just feel it, and you sort of start to question everything, and they're nice to your face, but they're not giving you gigs, and it's so brutal and so psychologically terrifying. So then that happened, and then so I sort of thought, because every gig's my last gig, but I thought this gig I did last November was going to be one of my last ones. I finally had figured out how to make the trans issue funny, or so I thought. So did some of the audience think. And I filmed it, and yeah, sure enough, the venue got a complaint, and they said, please don't use that footage because it's got our sign in the background. And I wasn't going to use the footage. I just wanted to film what I thought was going to be my last gig. And
What venue was this?
this was the Cranker, the Crown and Anchor, the one that cancelled me a couple of weeks
Oh
ago.
my! So they said you can't post your footage anywhere that you took that you're allowed to take because you
Their
said a
sign-
joke they don't like.
Yeah, if their sign was in the background, and it was like, and it takes a while to polish material. This was the first time I'd done that material, so I wasn't going to put that online.
Right.
And I just, because at this stage I still wasn't actively trying to do comedy. It's just when the Cranker guy asked me to do a spot, I would write something and get up and do it, and I'd get a gig every couple of months. And then I went to Nashville last year to try and get a job with the Daily Wire. I was friends with the producer. I'd emailed him because I went to film school, and I've also been soft cancelled from the film industry in Australia.
How?
Well, I just don't get gigs. I know all the right people, and I just don't get the.
Just from your spicy takes?
I think so. Like last year, I had a part in a show, and then a week or so before, they said, "Oh, we've recast," or the characters changed. It's just like, I reckon this is because of my social media presence, and that I won't back down. Like they don't want me on their program.
Wow.
They can't prove any of that, so it's just a bit like.
What part was it?
I was just a small part in a comedy show, but I know all the right. Like I know all these people. It's sort of
Right. You
weird.
have the connections. Also,
And I've got the talent. Well, sometimes you stuff up an audition, but yeah, I've got the connection. So it's just like, what is happening? But the Australian version of The Office has come out here. It looks really bad. And I joked on TV the other day when I was getting interviewed. I was like, well, one perk of being a TERF is you don't get cast in the Australian version of The Office. Because they had an opportunity to tease wokeness, and they're not doing it. It's actually woke. Can you imagine The Office being woke? It's just crazy.
No, that's going to be painfully unfunny. Wow. So you get kind of soft, you get soft canceled. And I don't know, I guess.
You go.
Oh, sorry, go.
I was finishing that story. So I went to Nashville to try and get a job with the Daily Wire because they were making movies, and I've got a film degree and I love acting and all that stuff. And I was like, well, they're not going to not hire me on the basis of my belief that a woman is an adult human female. But they couldn't hire me. And while I was in America, my friend said, go to Austin and do, comedy. And I did. And I still hadn't got the bug back, if that makes sense. And then I did Joe Rogan's open mic I lined up, and I got on the open mic, and it was just like, oh my goodness, I never want to stop.
Wow. And that was Kill Tony, right?
That was the open mic, and then I signed up for Kill Tony. My friend said you should do Kill Tony, and I hadn't really seen Kill Tony. I'd seen clips of it, and I'd only ever seen terrible, terrible people. So I thought, you think I'm that bad?
Oh.
On this show where they just destroy people who are bad at comedy. But then I kind of understood what it was, and I did it, and it was great. And then had to come back to Australia, and I did the open mic every week. So I went from last year doing one gig every 2-3 months to getting up every Monday. So that, because
Good.
after that, I was just like, don't stop. Because you know how you lose it if you even have a little break?
Yeah. Yeah, you get a little like mushy.
Yeah, it's like going to the gym.
Yeah,
gotta keep
definitely.
going. Yeah.
I'm gonna play. Hold on. I was just looking for your clip from Kill Tony. Very exciting though. Wowie. Let's see.
To your next comedian, Biddy O'Loughlin, everybody.
Laughlin? Have I been saying it wrong this whole time?
No, he said it wrong. It's so funny though that people pronounce our name, like my mum and I, O'Loughlin.
Laughlin. There's no F anywhere.
I know.
It's Lachlan, like Sarah McLachlan.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway.
I will remember. And when was this? This was
Early
year?
March. It came out in April.
Oh, this year.
One more time, everybody, for Biddy O'Loughlin, everyone. Make some noise for Biddy, everyone. 60 seconds uninterrupted.
Hi. Hi, my name's Biddy. I'm from Australia, and my pronouns are fuck off.
How did you prepare for this?
Well, my friend who said I should do it, he was like, just do all your best bits, you know, do the one line, do the gold. So I just went through all my material, and I just, the second joke I do here was brand new. I'd never done it on stage.
Ooh, that's the best.
I do that on Kill Tony because nobody really got it because you guys don't say pissed as in, do you say
Pissed like pissed off, but you mean like pissed like drunk?
I meant both. I said I don't drink anymore. My Irish ancestors are pissed, and they're pissed.
They're stupid.
Joke
Didn't
I
get
wrote
that.
day or something. But the other jokes were just the best lines I had in the last year and a half, I guess.
No, that's awesome.
I'm Irish Australian, and I don't drink anymore, so my ancestors are pissed. And they're pissed.
Oh, that deserved more. Oh, stupid.
I thought I was going to die.
Stupid Texas audience. Fuck them.
I'm a single mom. I didn't find out the sex of my baby when I was pregnant, but I was kind of hoping for a miscarriage.
You know why Austin laughed loudly at that? Because like Austin's like a liberal city, and yeah, it's interesting. Well, you'll find like where, you know, depending on where you are, the different reactions you get from the crowd.
At 20 weeks, I was convinced I was having a boy because I was sitting on the couch still waiting for him to make a move.
Aw, that's cute.
And at 10 weeks, I didn't get that test to find out if my baby had Down syndrome because I didn't care. I would have raised it. If my kid had an extra chromosome, I would have taught it to say funny things.
Aww.
Like when people say, "Have we met before?" They could go, "Nah, I've just got one of those faces."
That's cute.
I had a
And then did they have you come back and do songs?
Yeah,
Or was
in
that the same
interview,
set? Oh,
I
okay.
didn't hear the little cat go there. That's the time to wrap it up cat sound. But I didn't hear
Yeah.
it because I was laughing too hard. So I kept going, and I didn't go overtime, but I just wish it. It's so weird when you're up there. I couldn't hear anything because the blood.
No,
is
you probably can't see anything either because the lights are in your face.
And yeah, it was pretty wild. And then we just started the interview, and this is why I wish I'd seen the show in its entirety before I did it, because I would have known that he would have found out that I was a singer, and he would have asked me to sing, which is what happened, and it was so awkward because
beautiful girl, and I called her Dolly because she likes singing and boobs. Her first word was dada. I was like, where?
That's cute.
I would.
There you go. All the time.
Oh, no, you did great. Oh, that's great. Wow. Yeah, it's such high stakes, even to like, they really eviscerate people who bomb, which is part of the entertainment of it.
Yeah, it's like the, what do you call it, the Coliseum or something.
Mhm.
But it's kind of good that I didn't know what it was. Like, I just went out there like, I'm just going to do my best bits and
That's
see
the
what.
way to do it and not be intimidated by them or be like, oh my God, you know, to be
Dom
kind of
Herrera was on the
starstruck.
panel. Dom Herrera was on the panel, and I'd actually met him before, but I didn't want to say it because I knew he wouldn't remember me. But he was friends with my mum at the Melbourne Comedy Festival, and he said
Right.
to my little brother once, he was like, I just want you to not take how your mother's raising you personally. Anyway.
And it's
Like,
also kind of good. Like you could have, I don't know, pulled out the mom card a bit. And it sounds like you don't do that at all.
I didn't do it on that. I don't know why. Something in me. So Tony said, why'd you have this long break from stand-up? And instead of saying like that it was because of mum, I said another reason, which was also true because, I kept falling into bed with comedians and I developed alcoholism and it was just, so there were a couple of reasons why I walked away from it, but one of them was mum and the other one was that. And I went with that for that interview. And I'm kind of glad because I just wanted to stand on my own 2 feet, and it's a big
Well, also
show.
that's a shorter answer. Like if you're just like, oh, I was hooking up with too many comedians or like, and everybody understands, drinking or giving up drinking. I mean, that's part of doing comedy. But if you get into the whole, like your relationship with your mom and feelings of competitiveness, like do you really want to get that deep on stage at Kill Tony? Probably not.
Probably not. But yeah, so Dom might have asked about her. He may or may not have. He may or may not even remember her, but she remembers him.
Did your mom see your Kill Tony? Like, what did she think?
She was pretty in awe of it. Like, I don't think she knew what the show was so much, but she shared about it, and she was pretty proud.
Oh,
So
so
that's nice.
sounds like you guys are, I don't know, making headway. I don't know. I don't think she should feel competitive.
No, and I wonder how much of my own stuff I'm projecting onto her there. You know what I mean? Like maybe I should just go for it and not overly worry about what her reaction will be because she's my mom.
You should just go for it. Do not be creatively stifled. And I think if she understood that that's how you really, she would not want you to feel that way. She'd be like, spread your wings, go for it. Like, because you're not going to see what you're able to fully become unless you really give it your all. And if you're just going like half measured, just put your foot on the gas. Like, why not? And if it doesn't work out, at least okay, this is the version of me that's going all the way for it.
Yeah.
But oh, wait a second. Oh, one of my producers is like, I found a video of guy you were talking about. Oh, Rima. Let's see. Oh my God, this is so interesting.
Show Iman's comedy. He's hilarious.
Iman. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna play just a second of this so you guys can see what this guy looks like. What an interesting looking guy. Love the headband.
Do we have anyone here from Australia?
Is this his real voice? Wow.
Awesome. I'm Australian. I apologize. I'm half Lebanese, half.
How tall is he?
I guess like over a meter.
Okay, so at least 3 feet tall. Wow, he's probably gets drunk easily.
Donnie or Don?
I don't need to see anymore. I already am obsessed with him. How cool.
Yeah, he's funny.
Okay, wow. All right. How do you feel like being a mom has changed? Like, has changed you as a person? And then how has it affected your approach to comedy?
Changed me as a person because I'm a better person. So that's good. That's a good thing that happened. And in terms of comedy, I guess it makes me think a little bit more about what I want. You know, doing that joke about her first word was dada, and I was like, where? I kind of regret that being out there because
What? I love that joke. That's
and it's
like
not true. So I don't know. I guess
people
sometimes
know that. People know that. That's a very like jokey joke. That's good. Nobody thinks like, oh God, you know, the baby daddy's obviously not in the picture because of that joke. No, not at all.
yeah, a little bit of like, what am I saying with my comedy? You know, I don't do too many blue jokes anymore. And if I do, they're
Oh.
in
I know.
defense.
I know the feeling. Like, are you worried? Okay, that your daughter will like stumble upon your stuff years later and what she'll think of you?
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. So, yeah.
I don't feel that way. I had a boy. I wonder if it's different. I wonder if it's different if you have a girl. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't want him to. Well, I'm not super graphic. I don't know with my comedy anyhow. So, and you know, if he were to find something that he didn't like, I would just explain to him like where it
I
came
think I'm
from.
actually not so much worried about what she will think. I'm more worried about what other people will think and like if they'll judge her from my
Okay.
opinions. Do you know what I mean? Or punish her. Like even recently with the whole cancellation thing going online, I was really nervous because her childcare, like her little daycare, I didn't tell any of them my opinions on certain issues, and suddenly it was in the paper, and I was just like, oh my goodness, are they going to punish her?
It was in the paper?
Yeah, I
Oh
was in the paper
shit.
like 3 times. It was hilarious.
Oh, for what exactly did they put you in the
For
paper for?
for getting cancelled from that Cranker gig, you know, the one that
Okay.
said, you know, you can't use this footage.
Oh,
It's
wow.
less than a year later, they've actually said you can't actually do comedy anymore here. You're not allowed to do
Oh,
comedy.
so they banned you from the club.
They banned me from the club.
Holy shit. That's
And
so
it wasn't
ridiculous.
the comedy guys who banned me. Well, it was, but he didn't want to ban me. He just was taking orders from the pub. And the publican was taking orders from his woke bar staff.
Of course,
who
that's
said,
always how it goes.
"Hate me." Yeah.
It's like just a few people.
And they're non-binary. They're just, you know, jealous that I know what sex I am. And I live
Right.
around the corner from that pub. So they're always seeing me walk past, probably pouring pints going, but how does she know?
Well, whatever. It's like if you ever blow up at, you know, places like that, then they'll be like, "What are you talking about? You were never banned." Screw that. You don't need that at all. That's so ridiculous. Well, do you feel like you have been unfairly judged because of your mom being in comedy?
Sometimes, yeah. And so one time, one of her early managers, they're not together anymore. It was a few fringes ago. I said, oh, I'm going to do the Edinburgh Fringe again. And I just want to go and stand on my own 2 feet again. And he was like, you'd be nothing without your mum. And he'd never even seen me do comedy. So it was so unfair. And then eventually he did see me do comedy and he thought it was good. And then I sort of was hoping he might help me out, but he was like, are you still talking about that stuff? This is just a couple of months ago, as in women's rights. And I was like,
oh my God. But this man works in comedy. He's a comedy manager and he shrinks from just the topic of, oh my God.
But it's crazy, the double standards. Like he's got guys on his books who are not lefties, you know. Maybe they're not as brave as me as in saying it in memes and social media posts, but they'll have jokes about
Yeah.
trans.
So you think it's hypocritical guys are able to get away with more in the industry?
Yeah, I do. But
Like there's more of an expectation for women to be more liberal.
yeah, it's like the issue itself. We're expected to be kind and accept these men in dresses in our spaces because we're kind. Women are
Yeah,
kind.
it's so kind until you're getting your ass beat in your sport or you're getting like molested in the locker room. Like you just
Yeah, exactly. It's not kind to tell women that they have to lie to themselves and accept these men as women. It's just it's the
right.
opposite of kindness.
You have to be nice and be delusional and pretend
Yes.
you don't see things in front of you. Wow.
And then be kind. It's like you be kind. Understand that
Yeah.
women have sex-based spaces for a reason. If you were really women, you wouldn't dare enter them because
Right.
you'd know that you don't belong. Anyway.
Right, because if these dudes had
'Cause
dudes
it's
in dress
actually-
had dudes in dresses in their space, that you for sure they'd be a bit more vocal about it, but because they're not really in their spaces, they're in our spaces, doesn't affect them.
And we're not human shields for men who want to wear lipstick. Like they go, we
Yeah.
have to come in your bathrooms because we'll get beat up if we go in the boys' bathroom. It's like, well, we're not human shields for you. And I don't know, wipe your lipstick
Right.
off.
Women do not exist to make you feel better about your mental illness, okay? Like I only can take care of the mental illnesses of my very close friends and that's it. I'm not here to make everybody feel good about themselves. That's insane.
So I got kicked out of an AA meeting recently because there was a trans woman there. And this guy had followed me. He knew I was a TERF.
Just on sight? They were like, get her out. That's Biddy. Get her out.
No, he'd been there before and he passes really well. So I didn't even know it was a man until someone told me. And then I looked at his hips and I was like, oh yeah, those hips don't lie. That is a man.
The hips don't lie. Hands also. Shoulders, you can tell.
Forehead.
Adam's apple.
He's probably had facial feminization surgery because he passes
right, because
really
if you have like a little bit of
yeah,
that's like a pronounced brow, that's hard to hide.
Yeah. Anyway, so he'd been in the AA meeting before, the women's AA meeting, and another guy who doesn't pass but thinks he does. And in those cases, I would just walk out when they got asked to share because they were, taking a space from a vulnerable woman, and that was my little silent protest. And then this day,
good for you.
Yeah, and they picked up on it. They didn't come back. But this day, there was this big law case in Australia where a man got kicked off a female-only app, and he sued the woman who owned the app, and she had to pay his legal fees because of our legislation. The Sex Discrimination Act got changed, and now these guys in dresses have more rights than women in Australia. Like, he got to sue a woman because she said, you're a man. And this week, the week of that verdict, the trans guys were back in the women's meeting, and I just knew they had been emboldened by this case, and I was just fed up.
Wow.
I was there, and it's the beginning of the meeting, and they go, what's the topic of today's meeting? And I didn't know I was going to speak, but I just went, women only. And they were like, whoa, what's wrong with Biddy? And they're like,
I think it comes from a place of genuinely hating women.
Oh, absolutely. They think we're so nothing that they can be us, and they can come into our space, and they can get validation from all these women who, when they had come in the past before I, glared them out of there, and they'd been asked to share, the women who asked them to share were like, and Sophie, would you like to share? And it's like they're seeking men's approval, even in a women's meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they just hate us. So anyway, I said, there's a man in here. And they're like, what? Where? And I said, there. And I pointed at him. And I said, he cut his dick off and he grew his hair. And I stormed out of there. And this friend of mine saw me walking down the street. And an AA lady. And she got me to come back. And as I came back in, two women came up to me at the door. And they said, are you okay? And I was like, well, not really. There's a man in there. And they said, well, it's people who identify as female. And I said, well, that's bullshit. And then they said, out, you're violent. And I was like,
you're violent for living in reality. Wow.
Because I said that's bullshit. I didn't whisper it, but I didn't scream it. I was just like, well, that's bullshit. And they kicked me out for violence because words are violence, and these are lefty
words are violence. Right. And when you believe words are violence, you can actually respond to words, which are just words, with actual violence, which is the dangerous slippery slope aspect of it. Wow. Well,
So
good
now
for you.
Yeah, I hope. I don't know. I hope he's not going, but who knows? I just don't go anymore because I got messages from women who weren't even at that meeting saying, "I didn't know you were so hateful," and blah blah blah. And it's just like, are you kidding?
Wow.
I'm standing up for your rights, your boundaries, and you're lashing out at me when you weren't even there.
It's like a mob. It's a mob psychology for sure issue. Because the second one of these women like gets attacked, or somebody they love gets attacked or molested or worse, they'll very quickly change their tune. But it's because it's like we have to tiptoe around these dudes and pat them on the backs and cater to their delusions because that's what makes you a nice person. Wow. It does sound like it's a little bit worse in Australia there.
It's dangerous at worst and insulting at best.
Yeah.
Either way, you can lose. It's so frustrating. You can't see it, but hopefully.
Good for you. I mean, that's a good direction. That's a topic. I think if you wanted to write more material about, like, people are fired up about this all over the world, and I think that's what unites a lot of us is like our shared anger towards this kind of stuff. Wow. Oh my God. But good for you. I'm sure people overheard and at least gave them something to think about.
Yeah, I'm sure there were women in there who felt uncomfortable, and because you monitor your speech, even though he passes, but everybody knows, if they've been around AA for ages, that he's a man in drag and, has had all the surgeries and all that stuff. And I was like, yeah, but we're not dickless men. Just because he cut his penis off doesn't make him a woman. Like,
right. You're just a dickless man.
Yeah.
The worst kind of man.
Yeah, and there's a rainbow meeting, and I've never gone to that, not because I hate these people, but just out of respect, because I know that I'm kind of an out turf. Like
You're a turf, yeah.
I'm a public one, public enemy number one. So I've never gone to that meeting, the rainbow meeting, even though everybody's welcome, so long as you.
Apparently not. I don't think you would be welcome.
I don't think I would be welcome. Anyway.
Welcome. It's stupid. They'll come around eventually, I think. You're just, your job is to just like take a chunk out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Little by little. Okay, that's really neat. So you were soft canceled and then you were hard canceled from
the Cranker, the Crown and Anchor pub, which I marched to save because they were going to tear it down. I'm like, no, I wish they'd tear it down.
Yeah. Oh my God, look at this. I think I found this. Is this the right article? Comedian Biddy O'Loughlin searching for venue after bookings canceled.
Yeah, so I wanted to do my solo show that I'm working on at the Crown and Anchor because I just love the pub, the one that I got banned from.
Mm-hmm.
And they wouldn't let me do it there because I'm an out turf. So I went down the road to this other pub called the Duke of York, and once I got banned from the Cranker, my solo show sold out that I'd already had booked and in place. And then I, posted on Instagram, thank you to the staff at the Cranker, my show has sold out.
Wow.
And then all the crazy loonies went and harassed that pub who got spooked and cancelled my show.
Oh my God, these spineless venue owners. It really just comes down to them just saying, no, sorry, we're not canceling. And then
I feel really bad for them because they cancelled my show and now they're getting sort of a lot of backlash from my fans.
Hey, that's what happens. That's what these people have to know is that the people that want you to cancel the show, they're not even your customers. Okay, so you're not losing business. You're just catering to the mob. You think you're gonna lose business. You're actually gonna lose far more business to all of your fans who would have come to your sold out show.
Yeah, and the majority of people don't believe in this crap. The majority of us are over it. But the reason they cited was they're hosting a few shows, comedy shows, for the Feast Festival, which is the LGBT, Wi-Fi password people festival happening at the end of the month. And they said, they're upset because we're hosting you. And it's like, well, I'm not upset you're hosting them. We're not
Right.
We're not scheduled at the same time. We're not forced to share a stage. What's it to them if I'm doing a show 3 weeks before their show?
Wow.
It's just ridiculous. Anyway, I did my sold out show on the weekend at a different venue. I just had to email all the people, and not as many people came because they probably didn't get the email or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was fine. It was good. It's a work in progress. So I want to film it and put it on YouTube, and I want to get back on Kill Tony to promote it.
Good. Absolutely. You should.
Hopefully I'll get back to Austin and get out of that.
We're objecting to the comedian views on people who are transgender. Also, others also raised concern about some of her promotional material for her second show, which said, "No retarded people, please." The comedian, and of course, you mean that colloquially.
Yes.
The comedian has defended her use of the language, which is considered a slur by people who are disabled, saying it was meant as a joke. In another social media post, she claimed that she considered herself as a person with disability because she suffers from depression and anxiety. Right, anybody can be part of the group.
So unfunny the way they say that. That was anyway. What are you gonna do? What is out in Perth? Is that some sort of Wi-Fi password people thing?
It might be. Yeah, out in anything is going to be gay. The funny thing about cancel culture is that they actually put a spotlight on you unwittingly. So they should stop canceling people they hate because it's not working. Good for you. Oh, last year you oh, I know Kelly J. Keene. She was on the show.
Really? Oh, that was
Let Women Speak to Her. That's cool.
That was the first day I ever met a real life TERF. I'd been in this battle for 2 years, just basically online, and I had friends online who were TERFs. But that day on the steps of Parliament House was when I first met Kelly J. Keene and other women from Adelaide that were real life TERFs, and it was a game changer. I just suddenly didn't feel so alone, and like I wasn't crazy for standing up to it.
No, not at all. Wow. You told the crowd as a teenager you wish she'd been born a boy and that her boobs would not develop, but stopped experiencing feelings of disliking her body after she passed through puberty. Yeah, like the thing that we all go through. All of that teenage angst passed. I love being a woman. I'm so glad I was able to breastfeed my daughter. Oh, girl, me too. It's like one of the things that I'm the most proud of.
Yeah, breastfeeding. Especially
the more you read about the benefits of it, and the formula's gotten pretty good, but it's never going to be as good. There's white blood cells in breast milk. The formula is never going to be able to replicate that. There's just so much that they can't do.
The contact. Like, I know a bottle, you're holding it right there, and no, shame to women who can't breastfeed, but there's just something so nice about booby feeding.
Oh yeah, and they just drift off to sleep easier.
Mouth out.
It's really sweet. Yeah, and then sometimes they just never let go and fall asleep, and then I'll go to take them off, and I'll just be like, no, and I'll go back to it. It's so cute.
Yeah. How old's your son now?
He's 6 months.
Oh wow, really new.
Yeah, fresh out.
Congratulations.
Fresh out. I'm wondering how long I can say I'm postpartum for. How long does that title
2 years. 2 years.
Get me out of things. Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, our body doesn't go back to, normal for 2 years.
Okay, so that makes you feel really good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you look super thin and chic. Did you have trouble losing baby weight? You look great. I'm sure you didn't.
No, I didn't really gain much at all. I got a bit of fluid. I got cankles, but I didn't put on a heap of weight at all. And then I breastfed, so that's apparently quite, you lose a lot of calories to breastfeeding.
Yeah, I've heard that.
I just walk everywhere.
Oh, that helps. That's good.
Yeah.
I'm going to walk more and stop eating junk.
And I throw up my food. No, I'm joking.
No, that's got it. And I'm going to start doing that. Let's see. Oh, wow. Okay, so anyway, so there's this article, and then there's another article that we found. This is great. Oh, do I have to subscribe to this person? Anti-trans comedian has show canceled after abusing trans women at group therapy meeting. Look at this.
Hilarious. I haven't seen this.
Oh, you
Lucy
haven't seen this
Mom.
one? Okay.
Oh my goodness, that's so funny. After abusing trans women at group therapy meeting, a man who wasn't meant to be there.
Wow, abusing.
Hilarious. Lucy Martinez. Oh man.
It's let's see. You boasted about kicking up a fuss after spotting a trans woman at the meeting. Make women female again. Great hat. You're so violent. Biddy O'Loughlin, daughter of comedian Fiona O'Loughlin, is seeking media attention this week after verbally abusing a transgender woman at a women's only Alcoholics Anonymous meeting and then doubling down on social media. The outburst has sparked outrage and led to the cancellation of her upcoming comedy gig at Adelaide's Crown and Anchor Hotel. In an Instagram video, O'Loughlin boasted about her actions, describing how she kicked up a fuss after spotting a trans woman in the meeting. Referred to the individual in an absolutely horrendous and vile terms, O'Loughlin dismissed her as a guy who cut his dick off and grew out his hair. That's literally exactly what they are. Adding that the trans woman had previously followed her to the bathrooms at AA meetings to intimidate her. Wow.
I never told anyone. Like, I don't think I said that in my post, so that means they've talked to one of the bloody women or something.
Really?
So funny.
Interesting. The alleged intimidation by the trans woman seems conveniently tied to O'Loughlin's own stated belief in gender identity, a view she continues to tout under the guise of defending women's rights. It's very common for anti-trans activists to assign violence to benign actions that trans women take, such as going to the toilet. Oh, is this your video?
Just got kicked out of a women's AA meeting because I spotted a man in there. The guy who's cut his dick off and grown his hair.
Oh, I did.
He's followed me to the bathroom in mixed meetings before just to intimidate me because he knows I don't believe in gender ideology and I know that he's a man, not a woman. Anyway, he was there and I kicked up a fuss and I left. And then I came back and I was kicked out. They said I was violent because I said this is bullshit. How is that violence? I've got an Uber. I got a babysitter. I'm a single mum. I'm having a tough time at the moment with my head. And I wanted to go to the women's meeting. And I got kicked out. What the fuck is going on?
Good for you. I'm so glad you said something. You're a hero. What O'Loughlin failed to acknowledge was the blatant cruelty of her actions in a space meant for healing and meant for your healing and support.
Yeah. It's so
but
funny
you
people don't get it and they use that. It's like, no.
They're literally putting a man in a dress above you and your needs and literally the point of the women's only space.
And I was having a tough time with my head that day. I really needed a meeting. I got a babysitter. I got an Uber, and I should have been able to sit there and, talk to women. But
yeah, that would be nice.
See how it says Lucy from Nam? Nam is the Aboriginal Indigenous name for Melbourne. That's what the woke people in Australia do. They use the other name for everything now. Like,
oh, really?
Instead of saying Adelaide, they say Ghana, and instead of saying Melbourne, they say Nam. It's like a virtue signaling thing.
Oh, really? Oh, man. That's so weird.
I've got a fun new joke. I can't wait to do it. I forgot to do it at the show. You know when you're doing a show and afterwards you're like, oh, I forgot that joke.
It's the worst feeling. In your Instagram, you painted yourself as a victim. After you were removed from the meeting for violence. In a bitterly ironic twist, she complained about her own mental struggles and challenges. Oh, like your mental struggles and challenges don't matter, apparently. But,
I wrote this girl an email because the Duke of York, who cancelled my show, cited her email because she sort of intimidated them with that I said, no retards, please. She said, you as the pub might have contravened South Australian law because you've, let this comedian say no retards, please in her tribe booking thing. So they've tried to scare the pub and they've successfully scared the pub. and he attached her email. So I had her email address. That's why I was like, oh, Lucy Martinez, I know that name. Anyway, I've just read her an email that had one line. I said, so when's this retarded article coming out? And here it is. I finally found it.
Oh,
Hilarious.
wow.
She didn't
So it is.
respond.
After complaints from a Crown and Anchor staff member, O'Loughlin was dropped from the Cranker comedy lineup, which was scheduled to perform on October 15th. This isn't the first time she's courted controversy in her transphobic views. Her social media is littered with jabs at transgender women, and she proudly sports a red cap with the slogan, Make Women Female Again, a not-so-subtle nod to Trump's divisive brand of politics. O'Loughlin's brand of comedy, heavy on anti-trans rhetoric, has now cost her a spot in one of Adelaide's most beloved comedy venues. But rather than back down, she's leaning into the role of canceled comic. They call me the J.K. Rowling of the Adelaide comedy scene, she bragged on Instagram, seemingly proud of the comparison to the author, now synonymous with anti-trans comfort. Yeah, compare yourself to like one of the most successful authors of all time. Sure, that's
They are so stupid. They just don't get it. She's like writing me a really complimentary article here, and she thinks it's like having a go. Anyway.
What a fucking loser this woman is. It's like these types of people, and especially comedians or like regular people, it just seems like you're completely different breeds. Like they have no sense of humor about themselves. They don't live in reality. And again, the minute they get attacked or something bad happens to them from one of these monsters, then they'll change their tune. Or they'll just be kind of quiet because they know, oh, I'll be a hypocrite if I acknowledge the obvious.
Yeah, it's a religion for sure. I read this great book. I will show it to you. I've got to read it again, but it's by a British comedian, actually. His name is Andrew Doyle.
I think I've heard of this.
The New Puritans. So it's how the religion of social justice captured the Western world. And it's just, it's so interesting. It is. So it's kind of crazy.
I'm really proud of you. Regod says Chrissy rules. Thank you, Regod. Deranged Lunatic. Chrissy, I think Biddy would make an excellent guest for Simcast. I agree, Biddy. If you're ever available on a Sunday between 9 p.m., well, basically around this time, 9 p.m. Eastern to midnight. Yeah, I would love to have you on. It's just basically this with more people, less organized, more interrupting. It's a great time.
Oh, that looks like fun. I think I saw some of it in the intro.
And we're all transphobes, so it works out. Yeah, I had a little bit of a viral like trans hating moment. God, what was it, last year? Was it last year, 2 years ago? And we were joking because I was on tour with my friend Keanu, the one that just got married. We just come from Vegas, and we were joking that she looks like Dylan Mulvaney. And I was saying, oh, like people were approaching Keanu, asking her what day of girlhood she was on, and like she jokes about it too. She embraces it. And I mean, she's like a gorgeous woman. Obviously, she looks nothing like Dylan Mulvaney. It's just we were having a laugh about it. And then I said, why has it been 365 days of girlhood for Dylan and still no tits? And some guy in the audience yells out, because he's a man. And I was like, yes, because he's a man. And then I had these land whales to the side go, no, she's a woman. And it was like, thank God I captured it all on video. And it was like such a great moment. I'm like, it's okay. This is America. Like we can all have different beliefs. Like some of us can believe in reality and some of us can't. It's fine. And that got them really mad. And they ended up they finished their food first. Then they stormed out. And then they like demolished my merch table, complained to the owner. But then I was like, what the hell are these cows even doing here in the first place? Like they must have either got free tickets or didn't research who they were going to see, or they probably figured like, oh, female comic, this is going to be an hour of vagina jokes right up our alley. And it wasn't that. It was fun. It was a good time. So anyway,
welcome to comedy. That'll be fun.
You are welcome. You're my kind of people, Biddy. Sam says Biddy is funny, a sweetheart, and a turf. I like your short films. Go watch 10,000, everyone. Biddy, Lucifer is hungry. Remember to feed him. Can you explain this to me?
Oh, it's a short film that I made with my friends when I was about, 17 or 18. And I put it on YouTube to share with them. And it's still on YouTube. It's literally like a kid movie that we made when we were kids. and it's still on.
Oh,
It's so silly and funny.
is it awful? Should I show it? Where would I even find this?
Sorry, there's some construction going on over here.
Let's see if I can find this. Lucifer's hungry. Oh my God, 12 years ago.
But that's not when it was made. That's when I uploaded it. It was made like 20 years ago.
Oh my God, was YouTube even a thing 20 years ago?
No,
I guess it was.
I think it was, but
Yeah, of course it was. I think YouTube started in like 2006.
It's okay, Lucifer.
What?
I know you are hungry. I am hungry too. You will.
This is you with bangs
You smell that?
and a unibrow.
I started
I
laughing.
love this. This is very low budget.
Let's go get them.
We just
So you take him around, go outside. Oh, this is great.
We're lost.
Okay, this is amazing. I've seen all I need to see. Outstanding work.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll have to make movies again one day. I'll get
You should. You should. I think all this woke madness is starting to blow over. It just seems like it's taking longer in places like Australia.
Yeah, it is sometimes. Although the support I've received from this has been really uplifting, encouraging. And also it gives people the courage to say, oh yeah, we agree and we don't want this anymore. So thank you, Biddy. Which has been
Yeah.
pretty-
You make it a little bit easier for somebody else to say the same thing.
And the fact that the newspaper reported on it quite unbiasedly is testament to how much it's changing. Because this time a year ago, they may not have done that. They may have just been like, that's not a story or she deserves it. So the newspaper in Adelaide is called The Advertiser, and I think they've had a big staff changeover because they're reading the writing on the wall going, oh, actually, we might not be able to be a woke newspaper anymore.
Wow. Okay, that's really encouraging. That's really good.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. Why am I gonna? I'm not gonna show my land whale video to Biddy. That's too much like patting myself on the back.
The what video?
My land. I call it my land whale video. It's the moment where I had this little.
Yeah, show it.
Oh God. Probably be maybe a viral moment. Okay, ugh, here we go. Good God. Oh, look. I was so thin here. I was pre-baby.
You know her from Simcast. You know her from
That's
Compound
Keanu.
Media. You know her from Gutfeld. Give it up right now for Chrissie Mayr. Here's what I don't get about like Dylan Mulvaney. Are you guys familiar? 365 days. What? Like, why has it been a year of girlhood and still no tits? That's day one, okay? If I'm transitioning to a dude, day one I'm getting a cock. And I'm getting the biggest one you can find. Like, go into the back room, get me something black, okay? I have something to prove here. Why no tits for Dylan? I don't understand. Because he's a man. Yeah, he can go tomorrow. Uh-oh. We have one of those. I figured. No, it's all good. We can all have different beliefs. It's okay. Some of us can believe in reality and some of us can't. Coexist. This is America. We should have different beliefs. It's all good. It's all good.
Meanwhile, I'm shitting my pants. I'm like, I'm gonna get attacked.
But like tomorrow, Dylan could wake up and be like, yeah, I'm gonna go back to being a dude. And now he's just a dude with a tight face. He can just like unsnap it and he's back in business. I'm just saying I like to see a little bit of commitment, that's all. Yeah, just like the real Princeton, I've let in some people I shouldn't have.
There they go.
Because they were real athletic.
There they go, those ladies.
I let in some people just because they were Puerto Rican. They can't all
And
be
they're
white,
leaving,
right?
and I'm like,
you have to see yourself represented in the pamphlet, sir. You can't, right?
And I'm like, okay, they're leaving. They're not. I'm just gonna keep doing my material. I'm just gonna pretend I don't see them leave, right? Because you're like, I'm not gonna make the whole audience like make it about them. You know, you make all these split decisions.
You see yourself coming here? Let the transphobe! Is that the best you can do? Oh my God, I'm so sad. Make sure she gets home safe. I don't want those women to get harpooned in the neck on their way to their cars. I'm worried about their safety. There's poachers out there. They're gonna want their tongues. Oh my God. This is so, I made fun of Alex. Where's Alex? I made fun of you last night for walking a couple people. I was like, that would never happen to me. No, it's a badge of honor. They were fat though, and that did help.
Oh God, it always helps when they're fat.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Good on you. You're a hero
Oh
too.
my God, it was fun, but the whole time I'm like, they're gonna rush the stage.
I did a show. It's still the same title show that I do. It's called Funny Girl Sad Songs. I've just got new funny, and I do the same songs. But I was doing that show in 2021. I had a 8-month-old baby, so still very postpartum. And I did this show, and I had a retarded joke, and I didn't even do that much trans material. The closest I got at that stage was my pronouns are fuck off. Anyway, this couple stormed out, and the girl said, "You're not funny, you're an asshole." And that was fine, you know, I kept going. But then I got to the music, which is not funny songs, they're just normal songs. And I just started weeping because music is very, you know, it makes you sad. And then I continued the show, the song finished, and I was crying and doing stand-up comedy at exactly the same time. I just couldn't stop the
That's
tears.
hardcore.
I kept doing the jokes as I was crying. Oh man, it was quite
That's not everyone can do that. That's really cool. To show that much vulnerability on stage is like a very cool thing. That's my goal. I'm gonna cry on stage. I think it can happen with all these mommy hormones. I was reading the Giving Tree to my son today, and I started bawling. And I've read that book before. Like I knew the plot. It wasn't a surprise to me. I just was like, and she gave him her branches and said, "Go make a house." And I was like, "Oh my God," it was a mess. It's really sad. Do you know that book?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna send it to you and read it to your kid, and you're gonna start bawling.
Cool.
I hope I haven't ruined it. My God, Biddy, you're the best.
You're the best.
Don't
Hey,
ever, don't
Feliciano.
ever change. What?
Yeah, Peter Feliciano says hello. I saw that you were following each other.
Peter?
So
Oh, snap. Peter's great.
He's great.
How do you know him?
I met him in Austin. So an Australian TERF who I've never met, just one of my online friends. She saw I was in Austin. She said, "Oh, you've got to meet Peter." And then we met and had a coffee, and now we're friends. It's great.
Oh,
So I saw you were
great.
following each other. I was like, "Hey, this chick's reached out to me to do a podcast."
All the TERFs, we all know each other. Yep. You're
Yep.
gonna be just fine. Biddy, what's coming up for you? Where can people follow you, etc.?
Well, I've got Twitter, I've got Instagram. I'm doing a secret show tonight because the venue doesn't want to be named. So it's like prohibition, bootleg jokes. And then I have started up a like a cultural fund thing so that I can tour, because everybody wants me to, not everybody, but people are going, when are you coming to Brisbane? When are you coming to Melbourne? And I'm like, well, I can't. I don't have any money. I can't get an arts grant because, arts grants are in Australia how a lot of artists get on their feet. And I haven't been able to get one because of my views.
You're not woke. How much is an arts grant?
Oh, you can apply for like 10, 15, 20 grand. It's, it's how our whole system here is government funded, which is not ideal for art. But anyway, it's the system I'm in, and I'm not able to get money that way. So I'm going to do a cultural fund. I guess I'll put it on my Twitter and my Instagram soon. And if you've got a few bucks, you can send it there, and that'll help me get to places to do my show.
Okay, awesome.
Funny girl.
Send me that link and I'll add it to the description on here.
Oh, wonderful. That'd be great.
And I'll retweet it.
Cool.
Awesome.
And if you're Australian watching it, it's tax deductible. So.
Wow. Okay, cool. Amazing. Thank you, Biddy. Don't ever change. Everyone follow Biddy on Twitter at Biddy O'Loughlin. OLOUGHLIN.
And on Instagram, same handle.
And Instagram. I always forget about Instagram because I'm an old. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for all the comments and questions. This was a great little turf bonding sesh.
Wonderful. Thank you, Chrissy.
I hope we're friends now. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you all next time. Bye.